All right, what up, people? So throughout this Real Man We Are Pink journey, I realized that Dr. Davis isn't just a doctor. He actually like a cool dude. So I just wanted to have a segment where I almost interview him to understand his why. All right, he a doctor, but he did some fascinating things in life, and I want to try to dig deep a little bit, people. All right, and I wanted to bring y'all on the journey with me because one of my favorite things in the world is to sip a couple brews and have deep conversations. But we ain't have a couple brews, at least not yet. All right, so Dr. Davis, could you introduce yourself?
Well, first, call me Chris.
All right.
That's how I roll. I'm Dr. Davis. I'm Dr. Christopher Davis. I'm a board certified cardiologist. However, I've been practicing cardiology for about 15 years, but I also I have a wellness practice, and I know wellness is this kind of general term. What does that mean? Bottom line is I realized that our healthcare system was broke, man. It was really broken, and meaning that we have a society where we are more prone to just give you a disease process and say, take this medication. This is what we do. Take this medicine and you'll get better. When the reality is we don't really get better, we just mask those symptoms. Okay. And I started to see that over the years and decided there must be a better way. It has to be a better way, right? And what we did is we decided at Reveal Vitality, my wellness practice, that we were going to teach people how to take care of themselves. We were going to teach them about nutrition and sleep and hormone balance and detoxification, getting all the toxins we've been exposed to out of our lives. And what I found after about 3-4 months into the program, it was amazing to see people losing 50, 60, 70 pounds. They come off of their medications. They don't have arthritis anymore. They're sleeping better. I mean, so all diabetes goes away, hypertension goes away. So for me, it was like writing on the wall that, okay, we missed the forest for the trees. And so, you know, one of the things I always do is I'm encouraging everybody. I mean, you really need to educate yourself. I mean, this is about, you know, our healthcare system is designed for acute care, meaning that we're great. You have a heart attack, we run in, we put a stent in, we save your life. Okay. But why not save your life before you had that heart attack? Why not address that issue that could have been addressed to prevent the heart attack before it even happened? And so that's what we're all about, and kind of teaching people to take care of themselves, being proactive about their healthcare and doing what they need to do so they don't develop all these chronic problems. So, you know, it's been really rewarding for me.
That's awesome, man. See, I can tell you passionate about it. All right, people, when he talk like this. All right, see every muscles, and his biceps, check out the bang. All right, so one thing I really respect about you is like your passion. Because for me personally, before I knew anything, I just knew I was passionate as hell about everything, but I just couldn't figure out that one thing. So could you tell me like a little bit about your journey into becoming Dr. Chris Davis? Like where did you start? Where did you develop a passion to start wanting to be a doctor? And some of the things, maybe you wanted to quit after 6 years of med school, 10 years of med school. You know, so could you tell me about that driving force that propelled you from high school to...
Well, I'm going to start a little bit. I'm going to start before high school. You know, the story for me starts with when I was 7 years old. I thought I had the flu and got admitted to the hospital. They said I had the flu, sent me back home, and 2 days later I was really sick, damn near dead, excuse my French, but I was really sick and got sent back to the hospital, and it turns out I had a ruptured appendix. And if you guys know, appendix is down here, and people have had appendicitis, but I had a ruptured appendix, and basically I had infection all inside my body, inside of my body taken over. And as a 7-year-old little kid, I almost died several times. I was in the hospital for a month and a half or so with tubes coming out of every orifice. And I remember the two doctors who saved my life, Dr. Gale and Dr. Teague. I remember those names, and I'm horrible with names. But I thought to myself at 7 years old, you know what? You know, I'm going to be a doctor like that. I'm going to save some people's lives. So from the time I was 7 years old, that was all I ever wanted to do. That was my driving force. You know, and I didn't know. I mean, I just worked hard. My mom, they always instilled the work ethic in me. Okay. But I knew I wanted to be a doctor from the time I was 7. And so everything I did from that moment on was designed and aimed towards getting to that goal. Wow. You know, and so part of the thing that happened though is once I went through all of the steps of going through, to college, and then off to med school, and then off to residency, and then off to fellowship, and 17 years later, you get out now. 17 years later, I get out into practice. And you're practicing. When you first started, it was great. It was fantastic. And as a cardiologist, I was doing what I wanted to do. I was saving lives, right? Okay. So that was really rewarding to me. However, that saving lives, what about, I started to realize again, about it's more important to change lives, and changing lives can save lives more than me going in and saving the life when they were already halfway dying. And so changing a life and a lifestyle became important so that these people didn't get sick. And so I had to figure out, I had to reverse, I had to rewind, because I was in a system that taught me just to say, okay, take these medications, do this, and you'll get better. But you weren't getting better. We just feeding the fuel, feeding the fire, feeding the beast. And so that's when I kind of decided we had to do something different. So that's kind of my journey. That's where my passion comes from, because my passion was design. My passion arose from wanting to save lives. But now I realize, okay, I'm saving them, yeah, but there's a much better way for me to do that.
Okay. So how many years were you a doctor at a regular hospital?
Oh man, wow. 6, 11, 12.
12 years. And what was, throughout that 12 years, did you already, at what point did you figure out that the system that's created is failing people? And what was that fear like? Because what people don't understand is you didn't just decide to do it today and just do it. You have a family to support. You have a wife, you have kids. You have several things that you have to pay for. So they don't understand the financial risk that you take in just giving people pills and making a hell of a lot of money doing so. Then taking the risk of doing something on your own, risking everything, your family. I'm pretty sure you had a supportive family and everything like that. But could you talk about what propelled you to take that step? And also talk about some of the things that you fear most in doing that, like financially and everything like that.
Man, that's a great question, and it is it's a subject that's kind of very emotionally draining, because it does. After practicing medicine for a long time and in a system that's broken, that yeah, sure, I made a lot of money in the system that was broken, but the reality is what drove me to do something different and try to figure out how I change the outcome and affect people's life and still make a living. It all boils down to integrity, right? For me, it boils down to integrity. And my wife and I, we teach our daughters about integrity. We have these things on their wall that says, stand in your own truth. Okay. And the reality is, for me, once I figured out that the system was broken, it was either about, and when I say stand in my own truth, it was either about me continuing to be part of a problem or being part of a solution. And being part of the solution meant, okay, you're gonna have to take some chances and try to figure out how you change the way you practice medicine outside of a system that's broken and do something different. So really the bottom line is, the short answer to that question is that it was about having integrity and saying, I can't continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm not giving my clients, my patients, what they deserve as a physician, and so I need to figure out another way to do it. And so, yeah, financially, it definitely takes its toll. But you know what? In the long run, when you put in you're making your steps in the right direction, and honestly, I'm a God-fearing man, and when I ask Him to guide my steps, the rest of it falls in place. And so I know that when I'm doing the right thing, and the lives that we're changing, and the people that are off their medications and thanking me for saving their life, I know I'm doing the right thing. There's nothing more rewarding. When we first started these classes and people coming in, there's nothing more rewarding than that. Nothing more rewarding than that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And like you said, it's and I'm the same way. Integrity means everything. So like without knowing anything about medicine and everything, when I found out that you took a leap, that I figured, because a lot of times I would go to doctors and it just didn't seem like they really cared. Like their job is to care, but that doesn't mean that the doctor actually care. And a lot of times, some of my doctor friends, it was weird because I was talking to a doctor and the doctor told me that they was doing education to some doctors. about being proactive. It's the first time I ever heard about doctors being proactive. Because if you can get healthy and never see them, isn't that the point? But if they only get paid when you see them, then doctors sometimes have an incentive to make you come see them.
Let me just tell you a funny story. I had one of my patients who was in my wellness program, and what happened was he was in my wellness program. He got off all of his diabetes medication. His blood pressure was down, doing fantastic. And he came to me and he told me that his doctor told him, it's doctors like Dr. Davis gonna put us out of business.
Ooh.
So, and I just looked at him like, did he really say? He said, yeah, my doctor said, it's doctors like Dr. Davis is going to put us out of business. So, ultimately our goal is to help you get better, not to continue to give you medications, right? I think part of the problem also in our society is the way the system's set up. When you go to your doctor, you spend how much time with them? 5 minutes, 6 minutes? The average time in the United States is 8 minutes in a room with your doctor, 8 minutes, okay? What do you really get accomplished in that 8 minutes that you're seeing your doctor? And I can tell you there's lots of things going on, but you better get your complaints out real quick, all right? So part of my issue in practicing when I was doing just regular, straight, conventional medicine, seeing 40 patients a day in my office, right? Seeing 40 patients a day, spending 6 or 7 minutes with them, and then I look at, and knowing there was so much more to do and so much more I had to offer, you can understand the frustrations every single day. When you're working in a system like that. And so for me, I knew it was time to do something different.
Wow. Like that's crazy. Cause even when I train people, I do a high intensity training. So I spend a half an hour with people and I'm like, shit, I don't know if that's enough. So what are some of the ways that separates you from the people that's fitting into the system?
Right. So I think the most important thing is when we look at disease processes, when we look at, I have arthritis, I have fibromyalgia, I have diabetes. The key is not to figure out what medicine I give you for that. The key is to figure out why you have it, right? Why do I have diabetes? Well, maybe you're insulin insensitive and you have diabetes because your vitamin D level's low, or your alpha lipoic acid level's low, or maybe I have my arthritis for the same reason because my vitamin D level's low. So just by looking at the underlying root cause of problems and addressing the root cause, maybe my blood pressure is high because I have a magnesium deficiency. So I think the key to what I do differently than I have been doing is looking for underlying root causes of problems. When people have all these arthritis issues these days, a lot of times it relates to your gut. Okay, it relates to inflammation that started with the things we were eating and starts in your gut. Heart disease starts in your gut. Bet your doctor didn't tell you that, right? All we talk about with heart disease as a cardiologist, we're worried about our cholesterol. So it's about educating people about things like that they have no concept of because we weren't taught those type of things.
Wow. And I feel like this is the most important question. You talked about legacy a little bit, or you referred to it a little bit. So when Dr. Chris Davis is retired or dead and gone, right, what is the legacy that you want to leave with your daughters and on this earth? What impact do you want to make on society? When somebody think about Dr. Chris Davis, what are the things that...
I think a couple of things, one of the things I want, when we talk about physicians, the physician none of this stuff that we're talking about is the physician's fault. Okay, and one of the things that I am trying to get other doctors to see as well is that doctors are frustrated. They're frustrated with the system, but they don't know what to do. I want people to see me as a trailblazer and doing something different and being successful and doing what we all set out to do, was to help people and save people's lives. So I want people to see me as somebody who stepped outside of the box and said, okay, I'm going to do this a different way, and lead that brigade to say, okay, he did it, now let me see what I can do. All right. And not only that, I also want to be somebody who the clients, the patients, they realize taught them how to truly be healthy. How to truly, when we talk about health and wellness, not think of me as, okay, this was a guy who was about educating me to take care of me. Okay. I also want, the biggest thing I do when I talk to people, I try to really get them to understand that nobody, their health is one person's responsibility and one person only, and that person is you, themselves. All right. So I really just, I want to be thought of as somebody who had the balls to say, okay, the system's broken, and lead the charge to say, let's fix this.
And the last thing is define success in your eyes.
That's a tough one. Success. For me, I think success comes in really doing those things that I just talked about. If I could be thought about as someone who made a difference and a positive impact on somebody else's life, and not just one person, as many people as I can positively impact, that's what I would call success. That's what success is to me, to positively influence somebody else's life in whatever kind of way that might be. Wow.
See, you got it, people. Not only do he talk the talk, he back it up with actions. All right, the guy goes to the gym 6 days a week. We train at the same gym. When you look at him, one thing that bothers me in today's society is we see these educators, we see these coaches, we see these people that we're supposed to look up to unhealthy and out of shape. I see so many fat football coaches. I see so many out of shape trainers. So like I'm proud to know you, man. Like I know you for a couple years now, and you always was a person that I was just intrigued by, because you don't say much, but just watching you, I always seen you work hard. I always seen the results of that. But when I seen you switch from being in the system to creating your own, that's when I became more intrigued. I seen you want to be like a trailblazer. I see you go speaking out in the community. I see you joining groups like Men in Pink. I see you being a part of competitions. I see you backing it up by actions. And the way your wife talk about you, the way your kids talk about you, the way your friends talk about you is the biggest tell that honestly you getting close to that legacy, man. And I just want to say, brother to brother, I'm proud of you, and I'm glad you can serve as one of my mentors for the next couple of years.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. And we out, man.
We out.
To the next episode.